web browser is one of the largest attack surfaces on any modern computer. The browser is not just any application, it's your primary gateway to the internet. It handles your most sensitive information and it executes code from sources that you don't even control. And therefore, that makes it one of the most important things to configure on your system. All right, so this is the GitHub page for Betterfox. This is yet another Firefox user.js file. This one is for optimal privacy and security. Now, it is like very important that you don't skip over some of these steps. They do list them in order, starting from 0. But before we get into this, before we go any further down this rabbit hole, and it is somewhat of a rabbit hole, right? Because if we scroll further down the page, you realize that there's more than just user.js. So user.js is like the first go-to thing in this process. But you actually also have something called Securefox, Peskyfox, and Smoothfox. And all three of these provide additional configurations that you can add to your user.js file. But before we even go down this rabbit hole, we got to back up a second because there's actually something that we're missing. So if I just run lsblk, you see that we have a whole bunch of snap packages that are listed on the system. And over here on the left-hand side, they all begin with loop 0, loop 1, all the way down to loop 27. And you can actually see that loop 27 is the Firefox Snap package. The fact that Firefox by default is installed through Snap as a Snap package potentially poses a lot of problems for the person who is trying to lock down their browser from a privacy and security standpoint, because a lot of scripts get broken or don't function properly with the Firefox Snap package, as well as even some add-ons and extensions. I believe that it's important to just remove Firefox, the Snap package altogether, and install it through apt. And to do this properly, to do this the best way possible, it's actually quite a few commands, and they are not intuitive commands. So what I have done is I have created a interactive bash script that automates the entire process, and it explains to you every step of the way what is happening. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run that bash script. Check the description of this video and you will find a link for where to get this bash script. Once you've downloaded the script, make sure that it's executable by running chmod +x on the bash script, and then you can go ahead and run it. This is first and foremost checking for internet connectivity, and it has detected that Firefox is installed through Snap. So it's going to first remove the Snap package, and then it's going to configure the Mozilla official apt repository, and then it's going to install Firefox from apt. So we're going to do Y to continue. It's removing the Snap Firefox package. All right, so we see Firefox was removed. Next, it creates the keyring directory, and it begins the process of installing the Mozilla signing key. I did do this previously, so for me, I'm going to overwrite the existing file. So it added the Mozilla repository, it configured apt pinning, which is important, and now it is updating the repositories. Number 9, it begins the process of actually installing Firefox. And there we go. So as you can see, this was a 10-step process. Step 10 is verifying the installation. And it has printed the current version of Firefox to the screen, version 152.0.6. So now we can obviously verify that by running which on Firefox, and we see that it is now located in /user/bin/Firefox, as opposed to being a snap package. And if I run snap list Firefox, we're going to see that no matching snap is installed because it's been removed. All right, so awesome. So that script did its job, and we now have Firefox correctly installed through apt, and it's going to receive any updates. It's going to receive those, which is very important. One of the things that will have been accomplished with this bash script is if you run ls on /etc/apt/sources.list.d, there's going to be a file that has been created called mozilla.list. And if I cat out the contents of that file, you will see that we now have the official signing key for Mozilla. All right, so in my new Firefox web browser through apt, I have Betterfox open on the screen, and we're going to scroll down the page, and we're going to start this process from the beginning. Step 0, we need to create a backup profile. This is highly recommended, especially if you already have an existing profile. And then the next step in the process is going to be to download the user.js file. There's a link for it. It says right here. So you can right click, save link as, and then go ahead and save it as user.js. I already have it saved in my downloads directory. And next this is actually where it becomes not only very important, but this is where most people kind of get bogged down in the process. So you need to review both the common overrides as well as optional hardening to make any necessary changes. And it shows you that there's a specific location inside of the user.js file where you would add any overrides, and you can see it's somewhere around 251, 255 ish, and it actually says start my overrides, and that's where you actually enter any overrides. If we see the inside of my downloads directory, we get a word count of user.js. This is 224 lines long. That's not bad at all. You could read over every line in this file. That's actually not bad. Okay, and you have a lot of time that has been taken in explaining everything, providing notes, providing links, and you see that every actual configuration change that is made, it begins with user_pref. And as you can see, there are quite a few changes that are made. So this is definitely a huge step up from manually making those changes in about config. I mean, just look at this alone, just under telemetry, that's quite a few changes. So if you do nothing else, just going with this default user.js configuration script, you're going to make a drastic improvement in your situation. But now this is where it gets complicated. So if you want to go above and beyond, okay, user.js, this is going to provide you with all the essentials. Nothing should break your browser. This is probably what most people would do. But if you really want to go the extra mile, then that's where these other files come into play. So you have Securefox, Peskyfox, and Smoothfox. And we're going to take a quick look at each one of these. So Securefox is going to protect user data without causing site breakage. Securefox is basically for like the real deal privacy enthusiasts. This is where you're going to want to consider incorporating stuff from Securefox and adding it to the appropriate location in user.js. But this is where it gets, as I said, this is where your eyes begin to glaze over and you realize how complicated this actually is of a process, because Securefox is 1,677 lines long. And let's just be honest, like, who really is going to read over every line in that? That's a pretty big file. It's suggesting that you read every line in this file and that you get an understanding of what each one of these means, and you pull from this file and add it to user.js. That's asking for a lot, in my opinion, for the typical person. And then in addition to that, you have Peskyfox, which is only 152 lines long. So you could read over that. And then finally, you have Smoothfox, which is 152 lines. Smoothfox is going to basically make the scrolling much better for the user, from my understanding. And you're supposed to just pick one option. So you have smooth scrolling, instant scrolling, sharpen scrolling, etc., and so forth. But you are supposed to just pick one of these options and then copy everything under that option and then paste it in the appropriate spot for the user.js file. So if I were to open up user.js, I could do Control F for where is, and I'll just look for smooth. And here we go. So this is actually the section for where you would put any of those changes for Smoothfox. And this is around 208 lines down. So I would literally just I would paste those in right here, just like that. So I'm going to do a Control X, Y, and Enter. And once you have created your final user.js file, and it has to be user.js, one file with the name user.js. Once you have created that final file, whether you make changes to it or not, just go with the default, which is fine. You're going to want to move or copy it over to your over to the root directory for where your profile lives. So I'm going to cd back inside of that directory, and then I will copy the user.js file over to my current location. And there we go. So that's how that works. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to reload Firefox, and it's going to apply everything from user.js. But the way it does it is that everything from user.js actually ends up inside of this file called prefs.js. And in the future, any changes that you make are to user.js, and they will be applied to prefs.js. So that's how that works. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to close out of everything, and we're going to restart Firefox. And when we do that, you should actually immediately see some changes. So for example, initially you probably had a bunch of stuff cluttering up the home page. You know, things like Pocket and suggestions and weather and all that dumb stuff. So you're going to see that all of that has been immediately removed. It's been cleaned up. It looks very minimal. It looks very nice, and you're going to definitely notice some changes. You should definitely consider installing and configuring certain add-ons and extensions like uBlock Origin, for example. That would probably be my first choice, but we're not even going to cover that in this video. That's a whole nother separate project, in my opinion. But the one thing that I'm definitely going to do for privacy reasons is I'm going to get rid of the default search engine that is, of course, Google, because I'm giving up a lot of information to them by doing that. So that's going to be the one and only thing I'm gonna add on to that. I'm going to go into settings, and I'm going to change that to DuckDuckGo. This is a part of a larger series of videos that I've been creating that focus on hardening Linux, specifically hardening Ubuntu Linux, since the most popular desktop operating system for Linux is, in fact, Ubuntu. Check out the full playlist to learn additional techniques to harden your system. All right, everybody, that's going to be it for this video. If you got something out of this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like the video, drop a positive comment below.
Yeah, it's fresh forensics, baby. Fresh forensics, baby. Yeah, yeah, you know the name, don't play me. It's a fresh forensics way of life.